Good morning, Reverend Robert Ugin Doshin Yamada here, and welcome to the Animal Liberation Temple Dobutsukayoji, where we are at the service of the spiritual and physical liberation of our dear animal friends. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the ancestral lands, seed lands of the Yokuts, Karkin, Confederate villages of the Lishan, Ohlone, Miwok, and Miwokma people. We recognize them, the legacy of violence, settlement, and displacement of these people who suffered and survived. Good morning, Jackie. So good to see you here live. Thank you so much. I got almost everybody fed this morning. The dogs are all fed, and most of the birds are all fed. We got a little bit more. I don't know on Facebook. So I don't know what, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully that fixes itself. Or the stream is better on YouTube. But let's start with the temple updates. Weather here has been okay. A few cloudy days, which is unfortunately expensive here because having to run the generator a lot. Video is choppy on YouTube. I'm sorry about that. Maybe because it's cloudy, we're having a difficult time with the live stream. I apologize about that. I'm not sure what I can do at this time, but we'll try our best to continue on. We did launch a fundraiser, and we're continuing to run that fundraiser, mostly just for infrastructure needs and fuel costs and rising food costs. Everything else has been on hold here for a little while as we just try to keep going with just where the economy is right now. Things are a bit tough. But let's get into the updates on all of our residents. We, of course, have our duck friends, Breve, Greve, and Renee, all doing really well, eating their breakfast this morning. We have Lucy, Bernard, and Victor, our dog friends, of course, doing really well. Victor is, of course, being trouble. If you can notice, my altar here is chewed to pieces. He decided that he wanted to chew on the altar, which is okay, but maybe eventually I'll have to replace that because it may not be able to stand if it keeps getting chewed on. Our goat friends down the hill, Rob, Matt, and Phil, I got to see them yesterday. They're doing really well. Just wonderful, wonderful little goat friends of ours. Our tortoise friend Miyachi is doing really well, eating his breakfast this morning. He's been getting extra big salads lately. We got our turkey friends Pri and Harriet also eating their breakfast, doing really well. We have all of our Cornishes, which are Jax, Jimmy, Edward. I'm sorry. That doesn't seem to be right. Jax and Jimmy. Then we have Poppy. No, Jax, Jimmy, and Edward. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. Jimmy and Edward are over in the main Cornish area, and then Jax is over here in the main aviary. That's why I get confused about that. Then we have Poppy, Aster, Ivy, Azalea, Peony, Cynthia, Lotus, Magnolia, Sage, Marigold, Camilla, Hydrangea, Holly, and Zinnia, who are all the Cornish hens on the Cornish side of the sanctuary. Then we have our other hens, which are Glennis, Alice, Rebel, and Mariah, all doing really well. Then we have our rooster friends, Sabrina, May, Hard One, Elton, George, Brad, and Kudu, all doing really well. Our guinea fowl friend Wendy is doing well. Sequoia is doing really good. Our rat friend inside the house, Hasu, is doing really well. Again, just very old, but still getting around and doing his thing. We have all of our pigeon friends: FP, Champagne, Tulin, Sasha, Yo-Yo, PD, Ricky, Speckle, Spencer, Shambles, Beluga, Beth, Kiwi, Cascade, Augustus, Rupert, Harper, Elliot, Snickers, Boba, Kismet, Farah, Angus, Pandora, Jones, Sin, Lago, Fred, Chamanto, Halo, Van Capone, Percy, Pacino, Lacey, Sasha the Second, Dora, and Endora. And then we have our 3 foster ducks who are all doing really well. And then currently we do have a foster chicken that will be going off to another sanctuary after her quarantine period. And she's doing really well. We're really fortunate to be able to provide quarantine here. Often, when chickens are rescued, they need a period of quarantine to make sure that they're free of any transmittable diseases and quarantine from other chickens. A lot of sanctuaries don't have this ability to do that. But because of our very nice medical building, we are able to do that for folks. So we are, fostering a chicken friend of ours right now. But let's go ahead and get started with our services. We'll like to recite the prayers, sutras, and vows to our dear animal friends. These prayers are of great auspicious benefit to all who hear these prayers, and we ask that you have your companion animals nearby or in a place where wild animal friends may be able to hear, even our dear insect friends. We'll start with the recitation of the Great Heart of Wisdom Sutra, found on page 4 of the Animal Liberation Temple Prayer Book. Maka hanya haramita shengyo kanji zai bosatsu gyojin hanya haramita jieso kengo unkai kodo isai kuyaku shari shi shiki fuku fui shiki shiki zoku zeku Shiki yaku bunyo ze shari shi ze sho doko mote amane kuisai ni oyoboshi warera toshija tomina tomoni botsudo o animal liberation o jozen koto o jiho sanshi Foshi Son Bosa Foshi Son Bosa Mokosa Moko Hoja Horo Mi We now recite the refuge prayer in Tibetan and in English, page 8. Sangye Todan Tuki Tunam La Janju Paduk Dagni Gebsuji Daki Jinso Gepe Sonam Ki Jola Penjer Sangye Juparsho. The Buddha, Dharma, and excellent assembly of the Sangha. Until I attain enlightenment, these I take refuge. By my practice of the 6 perfections, may all sentient beings attain the state of Buddhahood. We now recite the 4 great Bodhisattva vows, Shigi Seigan, page 9. Shujo Muhen Seigando Bono Mujin Seigandan Omon Muryo Seiganga Botsudo Mujo Seiganjo. However numerous sentient beings, I vow to enlighten them all. However inexhaustible my delusions, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the dharmas, I vow to master them all. However endlessly enlightened way, I vow to follow it fully. We now recite the 6 vows to our dear animal friends, page 10. However numerous my dear animal friends, I vow to liberate them all. However diverse the methods of animal liberation, I vow to support them all. However unheard their voices, I vow to speak out for them all. However painful and inexhaustible the methods of suffering, I vow to bear witness to them all. However infinite the cages and tanks, I vow to empty them all. However difficult animal liberation, I vow to achieve it completely. And we now recite the Vajrasattva purification mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Anupalaya Vajrasattva Te No Patisha Dredo Me Bhava Sitosho Me Bhava Suposho Me Bhava Anurato Me Bhava Sava Sita Me Prayasha Sava Karma Sita Me Tichim Shriyam Kuru Hom Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sava Tathagata Vajrama Me Mucha Vajri Bhava Mahasamamya Safaha. Wanted to read the comments, but I definitely need my glasses to do that. I'm getting low on reading glasses as Victor decided that he really likes to eat them. That's another expense, is having to keep myself in reading glasses. Or probably just do a better job of keeping away from our dear Victor. But we'll be very patient with him. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the sanctuary and the conditions here and how things have been kind of going. Um, Mostly so that folks can kind of reflect on their own life, take inventory of where they're at and what they're doing. Um, but for here, life on an off-grid sanctuary is very difficult. Um, and the more that I've been up here for nearly 4 years now, and steadily improving the place. We've built the temple. We have water that comes from a well that we have to trek up, and all the plumbing has been done so that we have a shower and composting toilet. Really beautiful, quiet place for all of our dear animal friends. I feel blessed to be visited by all the wild animal friends that come by here. The deer come at early morning dawn and at dusk. The barn swallows come in mass this time of year, as well as many other species of birds, from woodpeckers and different types of jays. Pigeons come up here and visit us. The red-tailed hawks and the vultures, the coyotes, just a wonderful, beautiful place. And then, to be able to build like this safety area for, some of our rescued animals from factory farms and slaughterhouses and cruel pet trade, and just having a safe, quiet place for them is really important. And long ago, I dedicated my life to the care of our non-human animal friends, and so that manifested for me as a animal sanctuary. And I started that in Arizona and had a really beautiful sanctuary that eventually just was not sustainable there, um, and not safe where we had it. So we moved it to here to California, and this place is much more safe for the animals. But that comes with a lot of difficulty, as our living off grid is very difficult. Having to constantly maintain the electrical system here and the internet, and making sure that we have gas for our generators, making sure that the solar panels are always working, and inverters and batteries. And every time we add a new electrical device that takes its own power, that pulls from our off-grid electrical here, and so that has to be thought about. Having to get animal food as well as human food up and down the hill. It is very dusty here. The road is lined with mulch, which is recycled mulch, which I really do appreciate that we're recycling yard waste here, and kind of like letting it soak back into the ground. However, because it's recycled mulch, sometimes it has like pesticides and so forth inside of that mulch, and it's really bad for air quality. So we've seen that the air quality kind of suffers up here a little bit because of that. Um, and so when the trucks drive by, or the horses come running by, it kind of kicks up all that stuff into the air, and that becomes very difficult. Um, for me, I've gotten used to it over the past 4 years, but getting volunteers to come up here and kind of having to deal with that, when it's something that they're not used to in their daily life, can be very difficult. So we're finding that just bringing up supplies, just regular basic needs such as water, food, shelter, these things are extraordinarily difficult here. Um, Also, being that we are, a sanctuary where we rescue a lot of at-risk animals that we can't always talk about, fundraising is a little bit more difficult, as we can't always disclose the complete story of every resident here, um, which makes that kind of fundraising a little bit more difficult. Um, and getting volunteers up here and people excited about the temple is very difficult. So to say, it is a very hard life to live, to have an off-grid sanctuary. And I think that having any sanctuary is probably very difficult. I know there's a lot of folks out there who have their own sanctuaries. Susan Craig comes to mind, who has a beautiful sanctuary, and she could probably attest to how difficult it can be at times. Um, And that's all to say that we have been recently looking into possibly moving the sanctuary again to a place that's more accessible to folks, to get more volunteers and to kind of grow the sanctuary that way. And so that's just something that we keep as an option. I'm always going to maintain the Animal Liberation Temple and take care of the residents here. I'll always make sure that everyone here is cared for. And so, we're not, in risk of closing down the temple or closing the sanctuary. Um, but because, funding is more difficult up here, gathering volunteers is more difficult here, we're going to, just kind of keep our eyes open. There's probably nothing that's going to happen soon. But I just want to let folks know that, this is something that we're kind of thinking about. Jackie talks about, on behalf of Canada, sorry about the wildfire smoke crossing the border. Yeah, that's another issue that we have up here is the wildfires. That we had a recent scare with the fires, and that's it's one thing if we're able to evacuate quickly. We have access to a road that we can get out of here really quickly, but that's something we just actually don't have here. The access to roads. Are kind of scary. It actually does take a bit of time to get to an actual road, and so evacuation here is definitely more hindered, and that's something we feel is a bit unsafe, and we'd like to be in a place where we can, if a fire comes, we can load everybody up and just jump on a road and get out of here. And so that's one of the concerns that we definitely think about. So how does that, kind of reflect in everybody else's life? I would say that, for me, I've, dedicated my life to non-human animal friends. And what does that look like? And there's how I want it to look like, and then there's how it actually looks like. And when you dedicate your life to something, and whatever that may be, and into whatever capacity that is, I think it's important to remind ourselves that it's not always going to be, the way we envisioned it. It's not always going to be, the the most beautiful days every single day. That sometimes life comes with these struggles. Sometimes life comes with these obstacles, and I've talked about in the past on how we can deal with obstacles in a positive way. And I think for me, one of the things that I always try to do is remind myself of the vows that I've taken. Every week I sit down and I recite the vows to our dear animal friends. I recite the animal liberation prayer, and that kind of reminds me of, regardless of the obstacles, that I'm still blessed to be able to take care of our dear animal residents here. I'm very blessed to be fulfilling the animal liberation prayer, to be fulfilling the vows to our dear animal friends. And so reciting that every week is really important to me. And, I hope it's really important to you folks out there. And you also, will, go over the, different prayers and ask yourself, how are you fulfilling it in your life? And let that be your strength to carry on in face of obstacles and face of hardships. That when we read the refuge prayer and the vows to our the great 4 great Bodhisattva vows and the 6 vows to our dear animal friends, that that it is a reflection on where we are in our lives right now, and that realizing that the obstacles that we face, the hardships that we face, is actually the fulfilling of those vows, and let it bring us strength and comfort. And that's what I wish for all of you folks out there this week, is strength and comfort in the face of hardships and obstacles. So that's my talk for this week. I hope that connects with a few of you out there and what you may be experiencing out there in the world. That this is my specific obstacles and hardships, but I think that a lot of you folks out there are reflecting on the different obstacles in your life and the different hardships in your life, and make that connection on how it is connecting to your vows for dear animal friends, and see it as a symbol that you are still on the right path, and so many out there, I know you are on the right path, and I am so grateful that you are. So thank you, folks. But we will continue with the recitation of the Animal Liberation Prayer that I had mentioned. Keeping in mind that all of these things that maybe we haven't accomplished yet, because of hardships and obstacles, that it is a symbol. If we are facing them, it means that we are on that path of the Animal Liberation Prayer. We'll recite that prayer now on page 12, 13, and 14. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends, who are subject to imperishable pain in labs throughout the world, be free of all suffering. May alternatives to animal experimentation, vivisection, and dissection be implemented immediately. May bodhicitta, the quality of compassion that leads to enlightenment, fill the hearts of those who imprison them. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who suffer endless days, months, years, locked in tiny cages unable to move, be filled with peace and calm. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who are forcibly taken from their families, be reunited, and may all families be able to stay together. May the hearts of those who work in slaughterhouses, factory farms, and all industries that exploit our dear animal friends be filled with bodhicitta, so the very thought of harm is purified. May they never kill again, and may the slaughterhouse lines, factory farms, and all industries that exploit our dear animal friends become immediately empty. May no animal be afraid or depressed. May their bodies be free of injuries, disease, and illness. May the mutilation of their bodies be forever ceased. May those who need homes or have been driven from them find shelter, plentiful food, and water. May there be liberation for those tortured for fur, entertainment, or who are hunted. May those who believe that they are superior to our brother and sister animals develop perfect equanimity, and may they realize in their hearts that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature, the potential to be completely free of suffering, and that they are not ours to kill or exploit. May the billions of land and sea-dwelling sentient beings who are abused, exploited, and killed due to greed, hatred, and ignorance be free of suffering. May all the nets, hooks, blades, projectiles, traps, snares, cages, pens, tanks, legal restraints, saddles, reins, prods, bait, poison, and all instruments to use to harm, exploit, and dominate our dear animal friends be forever abolished. May all human and non-human sentient beings live together in harmony, peace, equanimity, and achieve perfect enlightenment quickly. May we all experience happiness, safety, freedom, and animal liberation in this very lifetime. And we now recite the dedication of merit to our dear animal friends, page 16 and 17. Throughout our many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue we have accomplished, including this aspiration for peace, and all that we will ever attain, This we offer for the benefit of all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends. May suffering, exploitation, and unnecessary death be decreased for every being, while wisdom, bliss, and compassion increase in this and every future life. May we clearly and instantly perceive the plight of our dear animal friends with the urgency and seriousness they deserve, and our every action leads them to complete liberation. May we quickly attain enlightenment and work ceaselessly for liberation of all sentient beings. I am now going to have the credits and then stay for our quick sanctuary tour as well. Thank you all to the wonderful... Oh, this is not updated. 1 second. No idea why that's not updating. 1 second, folks. Oh, I think that was it. There we go. Thank you to all the wonderful folks who have been contributing to our dear animal residents of the Animal Liberation Temple from the 12th to the 18th of July. Thank you to everyone who's been liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to our social media. Thank you to our Venmo donors, Tani Salazar and Vanessa Ka. Our PayPal donors, Van Lung, Jacqueline Alscholler, sorry about the pronunciation there, Jacqueline, Kathy King, Pastor Robert Monroe, and Andrew Sisk. And then, of course, our Patreon supporters, Susan Fryman, Neil Carmen, Paulina Bradford, Paula Partenheimer, Shannon Hunter, and MV. Thank you folks so much. And please consider a donation through any of our platforms at Linktree Animal Liberation Temple. Thank you for joining our service, and everybody have a beautiful week, but stay for our quick sanctuary tour. There we go. Right. Everyone can see our very Animal Liberation Temple book, who's been thoroughly read by Victor. And we are a bit of damage to the altar from Victor as well, but he's okay. Here's our boy that we talked about earlier, Victor, with his new little toy that he got from Murray. And our beautiful Lucy, who's such a patient, adoring angel. There's Miyachi there with his red lips from eating his strawberries this morning. See any of the residents over here. Everybody's kind of finishing up their breakfast. I'm sure our Cornishes are out though. Yeah. And our Cornishes, they're doing really well. You see the pig coop in the back there. Everybody's doing really well over there. You know, the weather's cooler and nicer for everybody. That's always a kind thing for everybody here, but not so great for our solar. We'll check in on Sequoia real quick. Sequoia, how are you doing? You have anything to say this morning? Sometimes Sequoia can be very talkative. Maybe. Oh, there she goes. Yeah? I know. You tell me all about it. Yeah. Wonderful Sequoia. We've got Bernard here. Yeah, you're a good boy, Bernard. Can you say hi to everybody? You're a good boy. I hope everybody enjoyed that quick tour. So thank you everybody again for joining us here at the Animal Liberation Temple, where we are at the service of spiritual and physical liberation of our dear animal friends. Just quickly check the comments to make sure I didn't miss anything from anybody. Randy Johnson, it must be Victor in the background. Oh, I wish I could have met you recently. Best wishes, Robert. Thank you so much, Randy, and you're always welcome to come to the Animal Liberation Temple and meet Victor and all of our residents here. Yeah. As well as anybody who tunes into our services, you're all welcome to come and visit. We're always short on visitors, so it'd be really wonderful. Everybody have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.